It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it is great to have you in studio with us today. Coconino National Forest Fuels Management Officer Vic Morfin back with us. Welcome back.
Oh, thanks.
Vic came back to give us kind of a recap on the wildfire season. We're going to talk about fall and winter, kind of what the guys you could be doing out there, and what we can look ahead for next year in terms of what this monsoon, we had a great monsoon on the Coconino National Forest. So we'll see how that's going to affect maybe our year next year. Before we get into that, though, we want to talk about Veterans and Wildfire. Why don't you explain that to us, Vic?
Sure thing. It's a program that's been going on for a few years now. And basically, we're trying to recruit veterans from the military into wildland fire and get their foot in the door, see if it's something for them. There's a lot of parallels between what they're doing overseas and in the military in general and what we do. And so it's a big recruitment effort we're doing not only on the Coconino National Forest, but really nationally. Mm-hmm. And so we're trying to ramp up our efforts and see if we can fill some of those positions with some veterans from the military.
Are there any special requirements that you can talk about?
Basically, it's you have to be 18 or older and a high school diploma.
Okay.
And so all the specialized training that we do, it's on-the-job training and classroom training that we provide.
Okay.
So when they come to us, they don't necessarily have to be firefighters in the military or anything like that. Just have an interest, maybe want to be outside and things that line up with what we do. And a lot of times when they come from the military, they enjoy what they're doing there, and some of the stuff we do is similar.
Okay.
So yeah, we provide all that training for them.
Oh, perfect. Okay. All right. So if you're a veteran and you're looking for a job, what do they do? Just contact the Coconino National Forest or the U.S. Forest Service?
They can do that. What I'd actually suggest is just Googling Veterans and Wildfire.
Okay, Veterans and Wildfire.
And going from there. Right now we're working on some hiring pamphlets and whatnot with QR codes that they can scan.
Okay.
We'll be putting out, going to some job fairs. We have some outreach through the VA, a lot of outreach through the VA, through all the community colleges in Arizona, the universities in Arizona. But if they Google that, of course, that'll get them started on what to look for.
Sure. Okay, so Veterans in Wildfire is what you'd want to Google and get some more information on that. I imagine there's stuff on the website, Coconino National Forest website as well, possibly?
There should be. We're having issues with that with 508 compliance and whatnot.
Okay, but
we're
definitely
working through that.
Veterans in Wildfire is a good starting point. So we'll leave it at that.
You bet.
Go to Veterans in Wildfire, and that's the best place to start. Okay, let's recap summer wildfire season. It seemed busy with fires, but it didn't seem like we were busy with the kind of wildfires that were causing evacuations. Right. So why don't you kind of recap your wildfire season for us on the Coconino?
Yeah, generally it started with a pretty moist winter, spring, summer, I should say. We were getting lots of those pulses. We didn't get a heavy snowpack once again, but we were getting lots of pulses that kind of moderated the fuels, kept things not too dry, not extremely dry like we tend to see in May, June. And so it was a pretty moderate fire season that way. We didn't have a lot of unwanted, large, destructive wildfires, so that was great. And also what was good for us is those moderate conditions allowed us to manage some wildfires for resource objectives.
More than just a few. I think you had quite a few going on, and I want to get into that too. This monsoon, though, Brian Klimowski from Weather Service, I told you, was here just I think last week or the week before, and was talking about how we kind of started a week early. Usually it's right around the 4th of July, but the last week of June, it got really wet here, and then it dried out. Did that concern you guys at all? Because the first, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, he said, of July was extremely dry.
Right. Yeah, there were some of us wondering if monsoons were actually going to show up, because as you know, traditionally 4th of July it's wet. If it's not wet, it's certainly wet in the next few days. So yeah, we did get that weird pattern. It came in a little bit early, but then it dried out for 2-3 weeks. In the end, once again, it worked out great for us because we had some lightning fires and we were able to manage those because the conditions were right and actually get good effects out of them. to the tune of over 50,000 acres just on the Coconino National Forest.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is that a big year for you guys?
Oh, it's a huge year.
Okay. So what's an average year for Vic Morfin on the Coconino National Forest?
You know, it's highly variable, but it tends to be about 10 to 15,000 acres a year.
Oh, wow.
We have those pulses where we've had 25, 30, and then this year was by far the biggest.
So what made this year different?
It was just the conditions
Okay.
that were. You know, we're pretty fortunate in that we get a lot of lightning fires. In terms of being able to manage them, we average 150, 200 lightning fires a year, 400 fires a year total.
Oh, wow.
So we have a lot of candidate fires, a lot of opportunity to look and just see our conditions right here. Mm-hmm. Can this fire be a benefit to the landscape versus one we just need to pounce on and put it out?
Were there a lot of ones you pounced on?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Probably about 130, 140.
Okay.
The percentage of fires that we manage are always way down compared to what's actually out there. Maybe 3% of our fires, 10% of our fires we'll actually manage.
You had some good lightning strikes though this year. They seem to be in pretty key locations.
You bet. You bet.
Explain to us, kind of give us an area, paint a picture in our head, if you will, where some of those lightning strikes hit that did a lot of benefit.
Sure thing. We tend to think strategically, like where would we want to treat some land so that if we get a future unwanted fire, potentially catastrophic fire, where would it benefit us to have some fire treating the landscape? And so this year you saw the Cowboy Fire right off of I-17. You think of Munns Park between south of Flagstaff, just north of Munns Park, right on the I-17 corridor, we had a lightning strike that we were able to bring down the interstate and work with. And so now we have a fairly big chunk of black that's just east of I-17 and south of Flagstaff. So in the future, if we get someone dragging a chain or throwing a smoke out the window, mm-hmm. Hopefully it won't just run right into the Kachina Village Mountain Air area. Mm-hmm. We have a little bit of protection out there. That was one good example. It's called the Cowboy Fire.
Okay. There's another one right nearby the Cowboy Fire too. It seemed like there was two burning simultaneously right in that area, because I remember we had a lot of smoke at that point in time. Yeah. And I remember driving to work and going, wow, this is really thick. And I heard stories about Munns Park residents, duct taping their doors and windows shut because the smoke was coming in and it was so severe. But there was another one.
The Mormon Fire.
Okay.
Is probably the one you're thinking about. And if you go back to Munns Park once again, the Mormon Fire was kind of east of Munns Park versus the Cowboy, which was north of Munns Park. And the Mormon Fire started near the base of Mormon Mountain, kind of on the southwest side. And similarly, we have a lot of values up there, communication towers, microwave towers, cell towers. There's some Mexican spotted owl habitat there also. And so we thought it was important to protect those values. And we have now a fire treatment area from roughly just east of Munns Park all the way over to Mormon Mountain. So in the future, if we get a wildfire start south of there, we don't have to worry as much about it heading up the side of Mormon Mountain. And keep in mind, Mormon Mountain is also one of two areas in the Flagstaff Watershed Protection Project. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that we protect that watershed, because it only takes one fire to take out that watershed, which would be huge to Flagstaff. You bet.
We've seen that happen before. Coconino National Forest Fuels Management Officer Vic Morfin in studio today. Remember, if you're a veteran looking for a job, Veterans in Wildfire, do Google that and check into it. This is Countywide, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. Even though we are one of the most food-rich countries in the world, 15 million children don't know where their next meal is coming from. This is unacceptable, and something the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is working to solve. Instead of accepting that our country lets billions of pounds of surplus food go to waste every year, Feeding America has made it their mission to help families in need by rescuing this food. Through food pantries and meal programs, the nationwide network of food banks provides more than 3 billion meals, serving virtually every community in the United States, including yours. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank by visiting feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Welcome back to Countywide. Vic Morfin from the Coconino National Forest in studio today. He's their Forest Fuels Management Officer. Okay, we talked about Cowboy Fire, Mormon Fire, kind of the Munns Park, Mountain Air, Kachina Village, all that area. You got kind of a nice buffer in there now. Sure. Because of just Mother Nature doing her job, and then you guys just kind of watching it and keeping it on track and within its area. Another area that seemed to get quite a few lightning strikes and some work this year, it seemed like this summer, was over by C.C. Cragen Reservoir, which we always have to refer to as the Blue Ridge Reservoir, which I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. It's just C.C. Cragen Reservoir, and then there's Clint's Well. The Pinchot Fire right now is going on over by Clint's Well. So that area seemed to have quite a bit of lightning strike and work this year.
You bet. You bet. The Mogollon Rim District is one of 3 districts on the Coconino, and they always get their fair share of lightning also. Mm-hmm. And there were 2 big fires down there this year. The Pivot Rock Fire started around the time that the Cowboy and the Mormon were going, and that was an area that we were able to treat that could potentially protect the C.C. Cragen in the future. And then there was an even larger fire that started later called the Jack Fire, and that protected that. There's a KV power line that comes down through there, supplies Phoenix with power. And so that was another big step in trying to protect that this summer. And fortunately, we were able to protect another big chunk of that KV line.
Was there a fire over there too? Remind me, was it the Jack Fire? One of them was not a management fire.
Oh, true.
Oh, at C.C. Cragen Reservoir, where firefighters, the crews were being actually boated across the lake to go in and fight the fire, and I think the reservoir was closed for a while.
It was, and that was not one of our fires managed for resource objective. The name escapes me on that one, but that was an unwanted fire, so to speak, with that very easily could have threatened some values at risk, some homes and whatnot, some subdivisions. And so we jumped on that, and fortunately we were able to keep it at what we call a Type 3 management level, not extremely complex, but it had a lot of potential. That was going to go quick. It jumped the reservoir right away, so that was of concern, and we suppressed that one.
Am I accurate to say you think the Cedar Fire was probably the biggest fire for Arizona this year, over by Show Low, Pine Top, Lakeside?
I think it may have been. If not, the only ones that had more potential were up in the Apache lands, so White Mountain Apache and Fort Apache. Okay. I know they had some large fires this summer too.
Okay. But unfortunately, on the Coconino and on the Prescott National Forest, we didn't really have those fires to talk about this year.
Right. Yep, you bet. The one with the most potential is the one you referenced by Blue Ridge Reservoir. Mm-hmm. That could have been ugly, but fortunately was not.
Yeah, that one took off for a little bit, but then you guys got a handle on it right away. Okay, so let's get into the fall-winter. Fall-winter is a big time for you guys to do some burning. So what are we looking for right there? Because we've had, I think, Kyle and I are just about every week now. I think Debbie Manili from Prescott National Forest is sending stuff out. We get stuff from Brady and George up in the Coconino National Forest about these are some burns that are coming up in the next week, or if not, the next couple of months.
Right.
So we've got some work going on.
You bet. We're just kicking that off too. And in fact, we thought today, coming back a holiday yesterday, we thought today would be a big day for us to ramp up. As it turned out, we got a shot of moisture over the weekend. so not so much. The Mogollon District will be burning East Clear Creek, it looks like today in the next couple days, about 1,000 acres a day, up to 1,000 acres. And a whole lot of things happening around town, around Flagstaff. Right now, we're kind of in recon mode. Just coming back from a holiday, we have a lot of folks running around the woods trying to assess just how wet it is. A little bit too wet to burn today, we know that much, but potential to be burning the rest of the week. One of the big areas would be like right behind Pine Canyon Golf Community, off of FH3 and I-40 right there in that little wedge. That's a big project we're undertaking, and there's all kinds of projects all over town. There's one by Griffith Springs, Coconino Village area that we're working on, A1 and Kendrick Mountain out there west of town. Actually, Kendrick is a huge area we're going to be probably hitting all fall as we get windows. There's thousands of acres out there that we'd like to treat.
And this is all just to create a buffer between Forest and Flagstaff and the towns around there?
You bet. It's all hazard fuels reduction, trying to prepare for that fire that we think is inevitable, that unwanted fire of the future.
I guess, one southwest of the area with the southwest winds that we always get would pull it right into that area, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
And if you look at Flagstaff proper, you'll see a donut of treatment we've been up to for about 15 years. We call it the donut. And basically, it's a wide band of treatment all the way from east of town through Munns Park, Coconino Village, Woody Mountain, running out to A1. And we're just constantly trying to improve that and maintain that.
Okay, so we'll be seeing smoke on the Coconino National Forest for a while, at least until snow hits. And then when snow hits, slash piles,
right?
A bunch of those all over the place, ready to go?
Yep.
I'm thinking along Lake Mary Road out towards 87. Is that right?
It is.
Yeah.
Right here, right around the airport, you'll see a whole bunch of them, Heckathorn area, Pine Canyon area.
So we'll be seeing those when time allows for that.
Yep, when it gets wet.
To be ignited as well. And then you guys are really good. Brady and George are really good about sending us the information, saying, okay, there's going to be smoke columns in the air, and you're going to see some smoke, and even the general direction of which way the wind's going to go and whether or not there's going to be too much impact on the public or not. We usually air that information, so that's always good to go. This year, monsoon was big. It was very wet up north. It was wet down here. Brian Klimowski gave us the numbers of the monsoon, and most areas had a wetter than normal monsoon. There were a few places that were actually below normal, but the list he gave me across central northern Arizona, majority of the places were at or well above normal for their monsoon precipitation this year. Yeah. And I got to tell you, when you drive up and down I-17, those grasses are tall, real tall. So what are we looking at possibly for next year? We could have some hazards, I imagine.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully we'll get some snowpack and lay some of that stuff down and reduce that hazard and reduce the fuel moistures in the long run. As you know, recent history shows that we're not getting the snowpack we used to get. So maybe that's just overly optimistic. We'll see how that turns out. But the downside of all that good moisture is, like you said, the grasses. We tend to get a lot more fuel, and so the forest types at the lower elevation levels, like around Phoenix and even Prescott, will tend to see an increase in fuels because of that increased moisture.
Okay.
So taller grasses, more available fuel.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Will it not? Time will tell.
Spring makes or breaks fire season.
Vic will be back here next spring to tell us about that too. We've got to take our next break, okay? Coconino National Forest Fuels Management Officer Vic Morfin in studio today. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up one finger if you're a man, women, 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Hi, Smokey. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back. Just a couple minutes left in the program. We want to talk about abandoned campfires. You guys had just a few this year, right?
Yeah, you bet. We had 454 since January 1st.
454 potential starts to wildfires.
You bet.
You don't happen to know how many of those actually did start off a small fire that you guys had to run out to and put out?
I don't know that. I do know that of those 454, 136 were illegal campfires. So they occurred during that fire restriction time when it's really imperative that we don't have abandoned campfires.
Okay, so... Yeah. Okay, so despite the fact that we had campfire restrictions, you guys still wound up finding 136 fires still burning after the folks had left on the weekend.
In the illegal portion of the year.
Boy, that's pretty scary, Vic.
It is.
You know, that is really scary that that is going on. And this is escalated. It's not like this number is going down.
All right. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, a few years ago, it wasn't that long ago, 2010 perhaps, that number was closer to 100. Topping out at 200. And here in the last few years, for whatever reason, that number is continually climbing. And so it's a little disturbing, and it only takes one.
Yeah, it only takes one, and all of a sudden you got this huge fire going. Okay, so put out your campfire, and we'll have you back next, spring, or as soon as it starts getting really hot again, and we know things are going to get dangerous. We'll have you come back and kind of give us a prediction for the next wildfire season, because obviously we don't know what's going to happen this time next year. We want to hit Veterans and Wildfire again one more time. We've got another minute to go here before we have to say goodbye. So, Veterans and Wildfire, you guys are looking for veterans.
Yeah, we're looking for veterans to see if they're interested in what we do and get their foot in the door and try it out. And as you know, there's a great VA network already in place and other state programs that support veterans. So we'd encourage veterans, if they think they're interested in wildland fire, to visit those places, and they should be able to find some good information on what we're up to.
Oh, outside every day too, right?
Yeah, you bet.
Pretty much.
You bet, mostly.
Yeah, mostly outside every day,
hiking
just spending
around.
time in the forest and enjoying the great outdoors. All right, Vic, great to see you.
All right, thanks.
Glad to hear we didn't have too bad of a year and got a lot of good work done. 50,000 plus acres treated this year.
Just with wildfires.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. All right, that is today's Countywide. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Have a great day. We'll talk to you again next time.